try to come up with a list of 10 things to think through when you're trying to find a mentor. I'm trying to get somebody's attention who shouldn't care a lick about who I am. I've got to give them a reason to notice. The worst thing I can do is go to some very successful person and say, hey,
what are some questions you could ask yourself to understand your needs?
I'm not interested in mentoring somebody that doesn't want to be mentored.
Right.
I can think of nothing more frustrating. Remember the birds?
Might. Whoa, that thank you did not match the gesture I'm giving you.
Would you be my mentor? We'll see what an episode is like when I'm mildly irritated.
All right, we can start the podcast here. And 5, 4. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And he's teaching me everything about commercial real estate.
And other stuff, evidently.
The stuff you didn't hear because we just jumped in. There's something I want to try on this podcast. It'll be quick, but that.
Okay, let's try it.
That we've never done.
I'm in a mood, though, so just...
I know. I'm like, should I?
Yeah, let's try it.
It might make your mood better.
Okay.
Right? Or it might just go the opposite way. I've written a few jokes, quick jokes, and I'm going to see what you think.
Great.
Cool. That's all right. There's no pressure. They're very stupid. All right. I had an office job where my desk faced the printer, which wasn't quite what I was expecting when they told me the job offered free pay-per-view. Okay. Okay, cool. Oh. Okay, cool. They say that struggle and hardship are required to be great at the blues. I used to agree until I worked full-time at Sherman-Williams. Tar got a kick out of that one. Yeah. I just felt appropriate. I'm definitely keeping that one.
No.
But I was invited to my... Oh, wait. No, I'm still working on that one. I paid my friend Matthew to be a greeter for a party I was throwing after he lost his job. He was so great that 10 people at least asked me where I found such an amazing welcome mat. Last one. I'm a substitute high school choir teacher, but nice. I tell first dates that I'm a keynote speaker. All right, cool. I just haven't had an audience to really try stuff in front of since moving to Kentucky.
You ever been to Brasher's downtown? Mm-hmm. They have open mic, but it's music. Right. You know, I wonder if they'd... Because you could, like, show up with a guitar.
Right. And never play it. That's my style.
I know.
Keep acting like I'm going to play it and then put it down and tell a joke. Okay, here we go.
After every joke, you give them a chord.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah. No, I think I would end up never playing it. I'm going to do that.
I would show up for that.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you know when I do it.
And we leased them that space. So.
Oh, yeah. I saw.
Todd, good top producer, Todd Humphreys from the previous episode, leased that space.
Yeah.
So.
Did you want to try a little bourbon?
No.
No? Take the edge off?
No, we'll see. We'll see what an episode is like when I'm mildly irritated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
You're doing well.
Thanks. What? Appearing irritated or?
No. At the opposite.
Okay.
At appearing not irritated.
Okay.
Yeah, you look like you're having a good time.
Well, I am having a good time.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I got a question.
Yes.
What are you teaching me today?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see that coming.
I know. You're like, oh, yeah.
Well, we had somebody, I forget, it was a comment or they asked about finding a mentor or something like that. I thought we'd just talk about some ways to go find a mentor, like how to do it well.
Awesome.
And I'm going to, commercial real estate podcast. We'll talk about it from a commercial real estate angle, but this should apply to whatever. So I try to come up with a list of 10 things to think through when you're trying to find a mentor.
Awesome.
And my guess is most people do most of these wrong.
Yeah.
And when they do it wrong, what it sounds like is, hey, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain?
Yeah. This one? You want to pick this brain?
Yeah. But that's busy, successful people don't like when somebody asks, hey, for my own benefit only, can I have some of your very valuable time so that I can root around in your brain and extract what I need?
Mm-hmm.
They don't intend it to be this way, but what a selfish ask.
Right.
My guess is nobody really means for it to come off that way, but that's how it comes off. And I never had a class on how to pursue a mentorship relationship with somebody who would actually help me out.
Right.
But what I've had my entire life are great mentors.
Right.
They just happened.
Right.
And you too.
Yeah.
Like Dad was a mentor to us.
Sure.
Kind of our first natural. Now, not everybody has that, you know?
Right.
And in my case, he literally followed the path that his father started. Mm-hmm. And blazed that path further for me. And I've kind of walked in it, like we're all in the same industry doing this, the same company. Like I've literally walked that path that they blazed before. And Dad has absolutely been a mentor to me, not only in just learning how to become a man, mm-hmm. but in business.
Right.
You know? And then, you know, as I think through, you know, Brian Crawl's been a mentor. Do you know he listens to the show?
Well, I assumed he did. I never know who's listening every week or who heard a couple or heard one, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
But, you know, they moved in with us for 6 months while they were building a house.
Right.
And when they did that, I was a teenager. You were probably 4.
Right.
He did kind of start to mentor me, Cody some, just by being around and caring for us and being intentional.
Right.
And so now he's literally one of a couple coaches that I have.
Wow. Because does he coach other people?
Yes.
Like, what does that mean?
Well, literally, I meet with him once a month. I pay him.
Just like business coach.
Business coach.
Ah.
And, you know, I don't like the term life coach.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we talk about business a lot, but we talk about my marriage, family.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I see
it's
that.
more than just the business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so he's been a part and a huge influence on my life for, I don't know, 35 years at least, probably.
Right.
And sometimes I've hired a coach. Mm-hmm. Like that's how, it's not how I met Rod Santamassimo, but shortly after he started the Massimo group, I hired him to be my coach. Mm-hmm. And so even though that was a paid relationship, I was paying him to kick my teeth in, hold me accountable, all that. He became a mentor to me, and we built a close friendship, and he's really helped me throughout my career. I haven't had a lot of bosses in my life.
Yeah.
Like my dad, the guy at Domino's,
right.
the guy at UPS for a little bit, you know, like little jobs I did here and there.
Yeah.
And then I had the Marine Corps, and then I had Dad. Now I'm the boss. Like,
right.
Other than, so Rod was a very different boss than I'd been exposed to, just for the nature of, you know, he's from New York. Mm-hmm. He had a different style. Like I was able to learn a lot from him, you know. And so there's all this, but like there have been men in my life since I was very young that have mentored me. None of these relationships were formal mentor, like as in, hey, would you be my mentor?
Right.
Like none of that.
Right.
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
You know, I was interested in learning and growing, and they cared about me. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of natural and organic. And I live in the town that I grew up in. And so I'm surrounded by people I've known all my life, family, friends, all that stuff. I've got so much help if I needed it all over the place. Now, you drop me into LA and I'm in commercial real estate and I want to connect with people who can help me grow. Mm-hmm. Like I would have to approach that intentionally. Here, it just sort of happened naturally and organically. And I think Dad had a big hand in all of that. So a lot of the people that I've had, somewhat mentorship relationships with knew me because of Dad in the first place. And so, it was very easy, natural kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to get a mentor and I want to be intentional and proactive about it, the worst thing I can do is go to some very successful person and say, hey, can I take you to coffee so I can pick your brain? That's just not, I'll probably get very few yeses from that request. And B, it's just there's just much better ways to do it. And so this is for the person who wants to grow in their career or their relationships overall, and they want to be intentional about it. And they might not have the natural advantages that I had.
Yeah.
So this is how I would go do it.
This is great.
If I didn't have those advantages.
This is great.
And you drop me into some town where I've got complete anonymity and nobody knows me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, which happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Tara and I were just talking about this on our drive this weekend about mentorship. And I've talked to her several times about since since not going to church anymore. Most of my mentors were like Blake Bergstrom, right? He took me under his wing.
Yeah.
And of course, Dad. But I've talked to her like over the past several years about like how I just wish I had somebody. Like I wish I had a mentor. Not that I'm actively going to look for one, but I feel like I got to a place where a lot of people were coming to me, and I was helping other people out, mentoring people that were younger. But I wasn't really getting that from anywhere. So this is very interesting. I'm looking forward to this conversation here.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
But we need to define mentor before we move on, or at least how you would, what a mentor would be in your head.
So a mentor to me is someone who is further along than you. All right. So if we're just thinking about it in a business context, it's somebody that has maybe been in the industry longer or had more success, or has figured something out that I want to figure out. It's somebody who's gone to a place I want to get to, right? And if a mentorship relationship is, I really care about learning from them, and they're willing to help me learn what they know. And ideally, the feedback loop there from me gives them a tremendous amount of satisfaction. So seeing me grow blesses them. Or use whatever word you want, but that's they get something out of it. Right. Well, one form of this is like Mentor Kids. What Mentor Kids does is they take children from broken homes, right? So if mom and dad are not together, then they essentially qualify. So if they're living with a single parent, or if they're with grandma and granddad, or any version of that.
Foster care. Yeah.
They'll match them up with somebody. So I got matched with Blake Taylor.
Right.
So this is 18 years ago, because we got matched like maybe a week or two before Ben turned 18. Before Ben was born, and Ben just turned 18.
Oh, right.
So we got matched 18 years ago, and I think he was 8. They asked us to spend an hour a week. That didn't work very well for us. And so we would try to take him for a day, once a month, at least. Yeah. And he would just come hang out. And then his dad passed away, and we just spent more time with him. And so the way we mentored Blake was we just wanted him with us. And I wanted him to see what a family could look like. Not that we're perfect or we have everything figured out.
Yeah, but you all decided not to fight when he was around, you and Autumn. Yeah.
So we kept the fighting to win. We wanted him to see what it looks like to fight well in marriage.
Sure.
No. Yeah. But we just wanted him to see what it could look like, If I wanted to have somebody mentor me in the context of marriage, I would look for somebody that's had a successful marriage longer than I have. Yeah. And I just try to learn from them, know. So here's how I would suggest you pursue a potential mentor. First thing would be just to understand your needs. And this is pretty key, because you're gonna try to build a relationship with someone, and and ask them for something. And you don't want to be unclear
Right.
about what you're seeking. So here's some possibilities. Might be industry-specific insight. All right. So, man, how do you build a business during a downturn? What interest rates due to transactional velocity, et cetera? Like, I might want from the mentor relationship some industry-specific insights for them. You've been through a downturn before. This is my first one. What can I expect? Like, maybe you're looking for that type of information. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just general business knowledge. Like, look, I've been a sales associate advisor for 5 years. I just got my broker's license. I'm starting my own firm, but I've never run a business before. Maybe you're looking for that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to read a P&L statement or a balance sheet, or like, I just don't know some of these things I think I need to know to run a business. So maybe that's what you're looking for. Maybe you're looking to augment your talents, abilities, skills. Maybe you've got a specific project or goal. Maybe you just want some intellectual or emotional or spiritual growth that you're looking for. But those are just some ideas. You just need to get clear on what you're seeking. Mm-hmm. So you know, A, who to look for, and B, how to formulate your ask.
Right.
You know, I remember I had a dad ask me one time if I would mentor the son and the son-in-law. Mm. And I was like, I'm humbled that you think of me for this, but like, I'm not interested in mentoring somebody that doesn't want to be mentored. Right. I can think of nothing more frustrating.
Right.
I'll tell more of that story a little later on, but that would, like, you know, you got to understand your needs, what you're looking for. That would be the first thing.
What are some questions you could ask yourself to understand your needs?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm. One would, okay. So
I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Let me just talk out loud and see what comes out. One thing would be is like, where do I want to be 3 years from now or 5 years from now? Like, what does that look like? All right. What kind of business do I want to build? What kind of success do I want to have? Now, from that point to where you are right now, it should start to be pretty clear what you need to learn or become to get there. Mm-hmm. That'll start to give you clarity on how a mentor might help you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would forecast in the future and say, okay, who do I need to become? What do I need to learn? What skills do I need to gain so that I can get to that point? What character qualities do I need to, enhance, augment, whatever the word is?
What are the actions I have to start doing now to be there?
Yep.
Right. What life do I need to start living in order to make it there?
Okay. Next thing. So after you understand your needs, start with your network. These are people who know you already. Hopefully they like you. Hopefully, as they're in your network, you've already done things that have helped them. Mm-hmm. This can trigger reciprocity. This can make them more likely to want to help you grow. Let's say you drop me in LA. I know a few people in LA, but not many. I wouldn't have much of a network. But these days, with Zoom and whatever, geography is not much of an issue. So think about professors you've had, teachers, friends of your parents, people from church. Like, you've got a network regardless of where you live. And these are people I would think through first. Once you understand your needs, start with your network. All right. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, you going to Google, successful commercial real estate broker in LA?
Oh, right.
Like, I've got no easy entree into a conversation with that person. I'm going to have to basically cold call them or figure out a way. Like, just start with your network. Right. Now, let's say you don't have much of a network, or, you didn't spend 4 years in college thinking, all right, look, I want to learn this stuff, but what I really want to do is create a network that could benefit me and them for the rest of my life, which is how you should do college, by the way.
Yeah.
The relationships are way more valuable than the information most of the time.
If you're going to do college.
Yep. But the next thing is leverage online platforms. Mm-hmm. Okay. LinkedIn and Twitter, especially in commercial real estate, are incredibly active with commercial real estate professionals, and some really, really successful ones who share all kinds of things. If you're in commercial real estate and you're new to your career, get on LinkedIn, start connecting with people within the industry. Like, you're going to figure out really quickly who's just sharing some great information. and connect with them. Thank them for it. Like gratitude is like we get emails almost, I guess I get 2 to 3 emails a week from people reaching out and thanking me for these podcast episodes.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's like, and I really appreciate that.
Right.
And sometimes, rarely do they have an ask, but, sometimes they'll say, hey, I've got a question. I'd love to connect with you or whatever. And I don't always do that, but sometimes I do.
Yeah,
so
that's great. Have you ever heard of Clubhouse?
Yes, maybe from you, and I don't remember what it was. This the thing you were doing during COVID?
I did Clubhouse, right? And I met a lot of casting directors, a lot of other actors. The network I created during the short time I was on Clubhouse, it began to take so much of my time. Anybody that doesn't know, it's a social media platform where essentially you're joining these chat rooms, but it's all audio. There's people talking to each other, right? And you've got a moderator, someone who can mute everybody. It's like, okay, we're going to talk here. Then people would jump on and ask questions. And it is incredible. And we should take a look at it for
not only that, but I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah.
And I think it was during COVID.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you were telling me how these people would get on there and instead of asking a question, they would just give their 5-minute life history of how awesome they are.
Right.
Talk about that for a little, because you were doing things differently and standing out because of it.
Right. It was huge. You want me to talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Well, I made a whole video, or a 1-minute video of every actor that I heard that had a chance to talk to the casting director. And I'll put it in the video.
Yeah, put it in the
I'll
show
put it in the
notes.
show right here. I'm going to put it in the show right here. It's 1 minute.
Okay.
Right? And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hi everyone, my name is Timmy. I'm an actor based out of Chicago. Just want to start out by thank you all so much for doing this here on Clubhouse. This has been a wealth of knowledge. You all are so generous to give of your time. So let me just start by saying thank you. I do have a question. Before I get to that question, I'm just going to talk about myself for a little bit. Some of the achievements that I've done. I've been acting for a long time. Some co-stars. So much I can talk about. I could go ahead and start just reading my bio just so you all know that I'm legit. Started some short films. It's just really for me so I can feel better about myself. I'm a good actor. List of my accomplishments. I know it doesn't pertain to anybody else here in the room. You know what? You all have probably had enough time to go and look at my Instagram. So assuming that you have, I'll just get to my question. Any questions?
I'm sorry, I was eating. What was your question?
Great. Was that hilarious? That video in itself went through, all the casting directors were texting each other because they thought it was hilarious. And it was pretty much made for that audience, or the audience of actors. Because Clubhouse, not many people were on it. Invite only. I don't know how it is now. But no, I would go on in there and listen to the conversation and what's going on. And even when I do, that was like a weird beep.
Mm-hmm.
Big old weird beep.
Like it was trying to get our attention.
I know. You okay, little buddy? You okay, Tintin? Cool down for a second. Troy helped me with this too. He's a
casting director, right?
He was a casting director.
Yeah, okay.
And so through SAG-AFTRA, you got these SAG-AFTRA workshops. So it's a chance to show casting directors your work. But with all these, there's a Q&A. And at every Q&A, actors are like, how can I stay in touch with you? How can I, all questions that is just me.
Yeah.
And so I learned this for Troy. He's like, go in there and ask them what their favorite project was, right? Ask them something about them.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them something about them, their work. What do they like? What do they love?
Oh, wait, I just had this thought.
Sure.
What was that Finding Nemo?
Yeah.
Remember the birds?
Mine?
That's what I think. That was the picture. Mine.
Mm-hmm. So it's just huge when you can get the focus. Nobody cares about you, right? Nobody just as much as nobody cares about anybody, in the sense that no one's thinking what you think they're thinking, and no one's going to care about your accomplishments like you think they will. And it's sad to discover that in those moments. It's sad because you hit this level, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, nobody seems to care. you know, of course your family and the people you love will be like, yay, good job.
Yeah.
But, you know, you post something on, it's just so short-lived. Nobody cares. It's way more impressive for someone to find out that thing about you through somebody else or whatever than to brag or say things out loud. So if you could go in, ask them about themselves, and almost like you're starting a dialogue or a conversation to learn about them rather than showing them your dick, essentially. I used to say that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Did you imagine a trench coat or just a fly? But I used to tell actors a lot when they're trying to get people to come to their shows, or how do I do social media? So I was this social media guy in the circles there. And everybody would just post the poster of their show, right? They gave nothing. Everything they posted was an ask. Come to my thing, come to my thing, come to my thing. Pay $20 to come to my thing. You know, it's like you're not giving anything to anybody. So start giving to people online through your content, through social media. Then ultimately, when you've got something that you want them to come see, they'll do it in a heartbeat because of everything that you've given them.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll say about the online platforms, especially with LinkedIn, also with Twitter, and I'm just mentioning those two because that's where I see a tremendous amount of engagement within commercial real estate on those two platforms. But if I've identified somebody that I'd like to build a relationship, hoping that it could turn into some kind of mentorship deal, I can see who I'm connected to that's connected to them.
Right.
I can see it on LinkedIn, and I can see that on Twitter as well. And so there may be some opportunities there. Instead of a cold ask, you can get somebody to, I think that might be one of my later points, but
cool.
It is actually. But yeah, leverage online platforms. So let's say you drop me in LA, or the guy who asked the question, new to the industry, you don't have much of a network. You're not that engaged on online platforms yet. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not going to start bearing fruit yet because you hadn't put the work in. You hadn't cultivated those fields, so to speak. Attending industry events is a huge thing. And this sounds like a no-brainer, but man, the CCIM chapter of Kentucky, the Kentucky CCIM chapter, it's in Louisville, and we've got, 280 members, and probably 50 of them are in Lexington, and the rest are in Louisville. Us way over here in Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Me and Dad, we were never even members of the chapter. We were not involved.
Yeah.
Hour and 45 minutes away.
Right.
All the events are over there. There's nothing over on this side of the state. And so I was like, man, I don't. But right before COVID, a woman on the board asked me to come on the board. And I had just gotten back into the industry, because I was basically gone for 6 years. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? It's just going to be a good thing for me to connect with some folks, kind of get back in the game, sort of. So I went and I joined the board, joined the chapter. 2-3 years later, I'm the president of the board. Did my year. That was last year. Now I'm the immediate past president, which is the best role on every board. It's immediate past. You have no responsibilities here whatsoever.
You're done, but it's like,
But I'm still around. It was a fantastic thing to do. I should have done it immediately, way back when.
yeah.
Just being connected to a group of professionals, I've got all kinds of resources in other parts of the state now.
Yeah.
Because I met those folks and I've served with those folks, and like the networking aspect, just building relationships, huge deal. And, other obvious industry events in commercial real estate, ICSC, which I went to once and I've never gone back.
But you would, or you would recommend it.
I would recommend it. It's in Vegas. I hate Vegas. I hate big crowds. It's hard for me to I just don't enjoy it.
It almost sounded like, I went once and never again. Don't go to that one. I was making sure that's not what you were saying.
No, I'm saying I didn't take my own advice here. I went once. I didn't go again. But anything like that where you can, and don't just go. There's probably a whole episode somewhere of like how to do an event well.
Yeah.
Like how to attend an event well. I'm not sure I've ever really pulled that off. But if you're going to go, like put the work in ahead of time. Find out who's going to be there. Find out and who you want to meet, right? Figure out what you can offer them. So it's not all about you.
Right.
You know, like go prepared, go on purpose. Have just a checklist of things you're going to try to accomplish while you're there. And
right.
As opposed to just showing up.
Right, right.
And if you can volunteer to serve, like help plan it or help administer the thing, that gets you connected with people who are actually doing things.
Yeah, that's right.
And makes you, and you're going there, and part of it is to go there to serve. You know, it almost puts you in the kind of mindset of, man, I'm here for not just what I get out of it, but what the others get out of it as well.
Right.
Which makes you more likable and helps you build relationships, all that stuff.
It's huge.
So
if there's anything I'd have to say to that, it's like, instead of going in and thinking, all right, what can I get out of this event, or what am I doing, right? The me thing. If there is somebody that you know is going to be there, right? Maybe there's a speaker there that you admire. Or I would just say, get curious, right?
That's good advice.
Yeah, find something that makes you curious about the people and things there. Then you're going in to find things out, and to learn whether it's about somebody or something else. And people really appreciate that, you know?
I remember the one time I went to ICSC. It's a huge show. It's probably the largest commercial real estate event every year. And it's full of commercial real estate brokers. And if we're going to stereotype commercial real estate brokers, you're basically, not everybody and not you, but it's full of big egos. You got a huge room, a huge conference center full of big egos.
Yeah.
And when you're curious, you don't know everything.
That's right.
By definition.
That's right.
You naturally walk in there with some humility.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
Man, you just smell different.
Right.
You seem different. Everything about that helps you.
Right.
You know?
Desperation is gone.
Yeah, or just the need to impress.
Right.
And if you're curious, you're trying to learn. You're not trying to prove anything, or you're not trying to come off like you're, the biggest stud in the room kind of thing.
Right.
All that goes away. I really like that.
Yeah.
That just mindset of how curious can I get?
Yeah, get
about
curious.
the people in the room or what's going on or how I could help or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's great advice. All right, ask for an intro. We did, I mentioned this before when we were talking about LinkedIn or Twitter, and you can see, like if I'm trying to connect with you, but it'd be cold. I can look at you online on LinkedIn, and it'll say you're both connected to these people. And then I can reach out to, Leland and say, Leland, man, I'd really like to meet Timmy. Can you help me do that?
Yeah.
And now he can send an email that we're both copied on, or I do this a lot. Sometimes I'll send an email to two people and say, hey, guys, I know you both well. I'm big fans of both of you, and you guys should know each other.
Yeah.
You might respond favorably to that because of your relationship with Leland. And he's essentially just vouched for me.
Right.
Which makes the whole thing easier and warmer.
Right.
And that can really help. So do the homework to find out who might be in between you and Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
And ask them for an intro.
I got a quick story on that.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Because you were smiling. I figured there was something because I didn't say anything funny.
Yeah. No, because I was thinking about when I went and really pursued getting a talent agent, right? It was just a big thing. I didn't understand how it worked when I first moved to Chicago, right? Like really to pursue this. I thought, ultimately they're going to see me in a show and want to talk to me, which is funny because that did actually happen. Like a month when I really tried to get a talent agent and pursue it and do things, I ended up having 3 meetings and then getting one. And then a month or 2 later,
somebody sees you in the show.
Yeah, like a talent agent from APA, like which is one of the biggest comedy talent agencies in LA, sees me at Sketchfest and gives me his card and then sent me like really awesome auditions. But what I did was I went to every talent agency's website, and in Chicago, they show you who they represent. So I went through and I just looked at every single one of those the talent people, or the talent that they represent, to see who I knew. And I knew so many people because I'd been there for about 6 or 7 years. So I knew so many of them. And a lot of people, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they were represented or whatever. And then I reached out to every single person I knew.
Smart.
And what was amazing was this guy I helped get a Segway Torque job, right? This guy I helped do such and such.
Oh, so you'd already helped them in advance.
A lot of them
What a great idea.
Yeah, you went, and it wasn't even my thought. I was just like running shows, booking shows, had a job, and anybody I met or liked or knew, I would help them in whatever
You're
way
just
I can.
being good to people.
Yeah, it's being good. There was no, and so when it came time to that, I was like, holy shit, this is great. So I reached out, I was like, hey, can you say something to your agent or drop my name if you feel comfortable or whatever? And all but one said, absolutely. I'm surprised you don't have one. Like all this. And it just made everything easier. And the responses I got were great. And the one guy said no because he said his agent asked that he doesn't, that nobody sends somebody his way.
Okay.
Right.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What about the one? Come on.
It had nothing to do with me. So whenever I started coaching actors and they were like, how do I get an agent? That's the number one and biggest question. How do I get an agent? Oftentimes for people who haven't even started acting yet. They're just like, I need an agent and I can start acting. You know, it's like, no. And that's what I share. I share that story. And how I was like, go and look at these sites and look at the actors. And if you know you're not going to know anybody in there because you're not in the industry yet, then you've got years to go into the industry, take the classes. That's where I met a lot of them too. We're in the classes, take the classes, and focus on the craft, focused on only the craft and getting better. And things tend to fall into place and work themselves out. Like I was so surprised how many people I knew and how many people I had either worked with or helped out or booked on a show. Like, yeah. So asking for the intro was huge when it came to that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Next thing is give value before asking for it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is in some ways what you were doing naturally. You know why you did that naturally? Because you're not a big ego jerk.
Yeah. Well, I can be.
Well,
I have been.
We all have our moments.
Yeah.
Okay. I can be that guy too. But like by default, you're good to people.
Yeah.
Especially the people you like.
Yeah.
And so if you can help them out, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So my point here is if you're new to the industry and you want like the godfather of commercial real estate to start spending 2 hours a week with you, like you got a long way to go to making that happen.
Yeah.
All right. And one of the best ways you can even be noticed is to figure out what they might be struggling with or what they could use help with and start giving value free up front.
Yeah.
For what they get out of it. And then you can earn the right to ask for something later.
Right.
This is the opposite of I'd like to pick your brain.
Like there's nothing wrong with saying, can I pick your brain with somebody that you have an established relationship that's done a lot for you, right? And if they're like, hey, can I sit down and pick your brain for a minute? You know, if I've built you a website for free or did whatever I could, you know, there'd be no way you'd say no. There'd be no way. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Or unless I'm just a total jerk.
Right. And in which
those
case,
people exist.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not going to be the person who's ever going to help you out anyway. So here's some examples of some things that you might be able to do, especially if you're younger going into the industry. If you're younger and
Clean the toilets.
If you've never, if you're one of these youngins that grew up with an iPhone in your hand, you've never been without one.
Boom. Boom.
You're going into an industry full of old white guys.
Yeah.
Look, Facebook ads, video production, websites, internet marketing in general, email marketing, all these things you probably have just some at least cursory idea
Right.
of how to do some. And you're going into an industry full of people who have a tremendous amount of success and don't have a clue about that.
Yeah, no clue.
So if I were young coming into the industry, I don't even have to be good at that stuff. I just need to know a little. And I'm going to try to get, Gordon Gekko to give me some time. Like I'm going to look at his website. I'm going to look at his business. I'm going to try to anticipate some things that he's got issues with or that are weaker in his business.
Yeah.
Let's say he makes 150 calls a week. Everybody takes his call because he's the big fish. He's in meetings all the time, but his website looks like it's from 1992.
Right.
Like maybe just mock up what a refresh could look like and say, look, why don't you let me do this for you? I'm new to the industry. I'd just like to be in your orbit a little bit. Let me show you what your website could look like.
Right.
Or let me show you what some internet marketing systems could look like.
Right.
And I'll do it for you and your company, and you just see if it's worth anything. You know, you're just for free up front, just trying to do things so it's not just, hey, Mr. Successful, you don't know me, but could you give me an hour of your $1,000 an hour time,
right,
so that I can, completely suck all the information out of your brain?
Right.
I'm trying to get somebody's attention who shouldn't care a lick about who I am. Like, I've got to give them a reason to notice.
Right.
And by doing something for them, maybe on repeat for a while, can earn me the right to be noticed. All right, next thing I would say is start small with requests.
Yep.
All right, start small, specific advice. Like, develop relationship, then later you can formalize something. Maybe it never needs to be formalized at all, okay? But instead of saying, hey, would you mind meeting with me an hour a week? Maybe Thursdays at lunch, and we can just talk business. And if somebody asked me that, like, automatically I'd be like, whoa, dude, that's a huge ask. Like, I would almost become visibly defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had a colleague earlier today asked for a 30-minute Zoom call. She's got a very specific question.
Yeah.
About site to do business.
Right.
Right. And we've got a relationship. I've known her for years. She's part of the CCIM community. No problem.
Right.
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 But if we didn't have that relationship and I got that ask from somebody, I would still think about it.
Yeah.
Because that's easy to say yes to. They're not asking for something on repeat. They're just asking for a 30-minute chunk of time, which I bet I can solve in 10.
Right.
And so, start small, specific requests.
The ask needs to match the relationship, right? Or the ask needs to match I'm going to say relationship. It made me think of Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's an episode where he's working with Lin-Manuel Miranda. And Lin-Manuel asks him if two of his cousins, they're coming in town, could stay at his house. He's like, and he ultimately says yes, but like that was a big ask. And Lin-Manuel just goes, thanks. And he's like, whoa, that thank you did not match the gesture I'm giving you.
You Moranges, you don't give proper thank yous, you don't give proper sorries, and you're a bunch of sex perverts.
And they did the same with sorries. Like, that sorry did not match what you have done, right?
Yeah. It makes me think of, like the cliche is you don't ask somebody to marry you on the first date kind of thing. It's that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Here's the next thing. And I think this could be really, really huge. Let's say you ask somebody for an introduction and you took advantage of that introduction and you started to give value up front. You're giving, you're not asking yet. And they give you the time and they give you the advice. Next thing, follow through on the advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of no fooling, right? But, man, if I give somebody some advice and I never hear from them again,
yeah,
like, okay, whatever. But if they come back and ask for something else, I'm going to be like,
Right.
I don't know if they took my advice. They certainly didn't report back, close the loop, give me some feedback.
Right.
So follow through and then report back.
That's good.
Like, holy moly, man, thank you. This is where a handwritten card can really be a nice gesture. I appreciate the time. Your advice on this situation was awesome. Here's what I did. Here's how it worked out. Really, really appreciate it. You're demonstrating gratitude. You're giving a feedback loop. Now they can receive kind of the satisfaction of knowing that they helped somebody.
Right.
That's incredibly satisfying. That's a blessing that you can give people. You helped me out. I took your advice. It was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
When that dad asked me to kind of mentor his adult son and his adult son-in-law, I was okay with it. And I was humbled that I was asked. And I was like, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to test them a little bit. And so I gave them a few tasks just to see if, are they just trying to make daddy happen? Do they actually want to grow? And, they kind of half-assed it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't meet much.
There's not much you can do in that situation.
At that point, I'm kind of just wasting my time.
Right.
Not that I didn't care for them, but like, if they're not interested in growing, what am I doing?
That is wasted time.
Yeah.
Right.
So next thing is be persistent and patient, but not annoying. It's really hard to be persistent and patient at the same time and not be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest you err on the persistent side, especially in business, because you're demonstrating
you don't give up.
Yeah, like that's something that's a value in someone in business that I think really works well for them, and I respect that.
Yeah,
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I would disagree a little bit. It's okay to be a little annoying. Be okay with being a little annoying, knowing that when you do ultimately get to talk to this person, they're going to be happy that you were.
I think you can be as persistent as you are giving.
Yeah.
So like if somebody's bringing no value to me whatsoever, they're not trying to make relational deposits and they're just asking, well, they're annoying immediately.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds a little harsh, but
It's true.
on the flip side, if I'm trying to find someone who can play that role of a mentor with me, I want to make sure every time I speak with them or every time there's a touch point, whether it's an email or anything else, that there's something there that they get out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a piece of information in commercial real estate. Maybe I found a comp, and maybe it's a trend I've noticed, and I think it'd be valuable for them, and I'd love to hear what they think about it. I want to have something to offer every touch point. And if I'm doing that, I think I can be quite persistent, maybe rolling over into the annoyance side a little bit, because they're still going to be glad every time, at least a little bit.
Right.
And you can work it from there. But man, if it's just an ask, well, you're annoying real fast.
Right.
And persistence isn't helping you out at all.
Yeah. Yeah. If you say ask over and over and over long enough, it sounds like ass.
That's probably true.
Ask. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's the last thing. There are organizations out there that you can join and pay, and they provide mentorship. Now, one of them I found it's score.org. I think this is through like the Small Business Administration. Basically, they have clubs or chapters full of successful business people or retired business people who are available for new young business people to seek their advice, spend time with them. They've tried to create a framework where these relationships will just naturally happen. Okay. And I think it's free. I don't know much about it, but I was just seeing what was available online.
Yeah.
You can go to score, SCORE.org.
Okay.
So that could be an option. Other than just looking at the website for a few minutes. That's the extent of what I understand about that. But there are other organizations like Vistage. Vistage is for CEOs and business owners. A small group, they meet once a month. There's generally a coach for that group that runs the group, and we'll meet with each member of the group once a month.
Yeah.
The Christian version of this is C12.
Oh, yeah.
Or Convene. So there's Vistage.com, joinc12.com, convenenow.com. Now, none of those three groups are for newbies. These are for
established
CEOs, business owners. They're for the leaders of the companies.
Yeah.
Leaders of companies can often be a very lonely spot.
Yeah.
And so you put these folks in a room with each other, and it can just be incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah.
You're finally in a room full of people who aren't looking to you for anything.
Right.
They're your peers. They understand what you're going through, all that stuff. And so there are some mentorship programs in commercial real estate. You got the Massimo Group. I hired the Massimo Group early on in my career. Then I became a coach. Then I was their COO for a while. Like I spent a lot of my career either working with or for or tangentially tied in somehow with the Massimo Group. They were great. I got I experienced a lot of growth.
And they coach specifically commercial real estate brokers.
That is specific to commercial real estate. What you would maybe prefer to happen naturally and organically,
Yeah.
you might just be able to short circuit that whole process and jump into a group and find a mentor that way. Because that person's there looking for someone to mentor. Like they just, it's something they love to do. They love to see other people succeed, and they're there looking for the same thing you are from the other end. That could just be a real easy.
And the other thing I would say is just show up. A lot of the relationships or these moments in my life I think of that furthered my career or was like, oh, wow, like this is a good moment, is because I decided to show up.
Yep.
When I didn't necessarily want to go to a thing.
That's good advice, especially to somebody like me who, like, I don't enjoy social events much. Like, I always know where the exits are. I generally use them before anybody else.
Yeah.
And if I can come up with a reason not to go, I'll by default, naturally, I'd rather stay home with my beautiful wife and my wonderful children. Like, that sounds better to me.
Right.
And I've probably missed out on some opportunities because it's a draining thing for me. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's a draining thing. So
yeah. And you don't have to show up to everything, but I think incorporating showing up into your life more.
Just being proactive about it. Do it on purpose.
Yes.
Understand why you're doing it. Walk in with some curiosity. It's like, who can I help tonight?
Like if you go in with that game of like learn one interesting thing about each person you talk to, that's fun. That's fun. And I think the other thing I would add to all this, work begets work. That's something we say all the time in the industry. It's like when you work, now you're working with a crew or a director or somebody else that you didn't before. And then now they know who you are and your network grows and grows and word gets around.
In commercial real estate, we would say something more along the lines of the more successful you become, the more opportunities fall in your lap.
Yeah. And the more rich you get, the more free coffee you get offered. Ben Folds wrote a song about it. It was like, when he needed it most, he couldn't afford it. But now that he's rich, they give him free coffee.
Well, I've thought about that kind of dynamic as well, because like when you are, when I was in the Marine Corps, like I lived in Monterey, California, right there at Pebble Beach. I absolutely could not afford to play Pebble Beach. Wasn't going to happen. If I were to have a certain amount of success, there would be people trying to build relationships with me, potentially by taking me to Pebble Beach to play on their dime.
Yeah, sure.
And like, I don't need it now. I could do it myself, I guess.
Right.
But
it's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny how that works. For the record, nobody's ever, offered to take me to Pebble Beach. Could it be you?
No one's ever offered to take Bo to Pebble Beach. Now that I think about it, I haven't been offered to go to Pebble Beach either. I'll be good with a free coffee.
I'll get you free coffee.
You give me free coffee every time I come in here.
I know. I know.
Oh, man. I've drank so much of your little coffee pots. All right, cool.
I think that's it, though. Cool. I would love to, and I'd just love to hear what you guys think, or what did we forget? What did we leave off the list?
Yeah.
What other suggestions do you have that have worked for you and could help others? And throw it in the comments. Let us hear.
Yeah, and we read those comments. We absolutely would love to know.
Oh yeah, and I got a shout out.
Yes, great.
I got a text right before we started.
Shout outs, baby.
Gunnar texted us, said, I loved the podcast this week and last week. It's so good, and I look forward to it every week.
Amazing. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Gunnar.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that means a lot. That's really great.
Yeah. And I think it would be interesting to get Cody in here and talk personalities.
Absolutely. I wrote her down here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is one more thing I got to say about what we're talking about.
I love the
wait. This I found so interesting, and I would do this. I forget who said this. I wish I could remember.
In life, there are some shortcuts. So say psychology. What I did was look for the best psychologists in your town, email them politely with context and say, my name's Vin, look, I'd love to learn from you. I know you've been in this industry for the last 20 years and I've researched you and done my due diligence. You're one of the best. Do you mind if I politely ask, how much do you make a month? I'd like to understand the value of your time. She said she was about $9,000 a month. I'm like, wonderful. Could I pay you $9,000 for a day? And you share with me the most pragmatic lessons you've learned in psychology over the last 20 years for me. So she freaked out. She goes, do you want 2 days? Are you sure? And I was like, no, it's fine. 1 day is fine. I respect your time. 8 hours, please. We'll have a lunch break, but 8 hours. She spent a month and a half preparing for that 1 day. And in that day, she distilled for me liquid gold that took her 20 years to learn. And I've done this with speech pathologists. I've done this with psychologists. I've done this with everyone to do with this. That's also how I built my workshop. You know, I spoke to all these wonderful people and I hope, what is liquid gold.
And he articulated it way better than I just did. So when I was like, oh my goodness, that's brilliant. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, ding that little bell. Let us know in the comments what we've asked for here. We want to see it. And there's something else. You know, this came from a comment. This whole thing came from a comment of somebody asking about that. Share this with somebody that you think could use this as well.
If you've ever received any value from listening to this podcast or been entertained in the slightest way, we'd be so grateful if you would return the favor, give a little value back, head over to Apple and leave a review.
You're doing that from now on, the Apple.
Was that? I felt like I was
that was beautiful.
Completely guilt tripping.
That was beautiful.
Okay.
It was beautiful. It was great. A little guilt trip for our ask is good. Yeah,
okay.
We just spend an hour giving you as much as we can because, you know, it brings us a lot of joy. It's not going to cost you a single thing to leave a review. How was that one?
Yeah, pretty good.
Let's see how many of these we can crank out right now.
Do we sound beggarly or grovelly? Yeah.
I hate asking for stuff like that. Like, you know me, and like asking for money. Not like, hey, can I borrow some money? But like, hey, I'm gonna do a job for you, and like,
oh yeah,
like asking for money.
Yeah, I had Timmy shoot some videos for us for the business, and you know, I finally get this email. Hey, kind of hate to do this, but here's the invoice. Let me know what you think about the price or what, you know, blah blah blah. And he's justifying his value. You know, this is, you know, as if he's one, he just hates the dynamic, and two, like I'm going to respond like with sticker shock or whatever.
Yeah.
So my email response was like, quit apologizing for your value.
Yeah, that was really great. Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah. No, but I feel the same way about like just asking someone to like or subscribe, you know, you got to do it. But yeah, I feel kind of the same, and I'm trying not to. But the way you requested, that was really helpful to me because it's like, oh, we're not asking for much, and we're, you know.
Yeah, we're trying to do what we were talking about here today.
That's right.
Give.
That's right.
Give.
Yeah.
We're sending you all invoices for our time.
Yeah. No, but what we will send you is a newsletter every Thursday. You can subscribe to that free newsletter. Mm-hmm. Subscribe.wgbarron.com. Mm-hmm. Got
if you're listening to this when it comes out on June 26th, we've got our next currently commercial CCIM webinar. I'm going to have Bryant Cheeley on.
Oh, nice.
I had a call with him this morning where we worked through what we were going to go over.
Yeah.
Really good. Talking about how AI can help streamline the operations of commercial real estate company.
Oh, wow.
It's unbelievable. Custom chat GPTs and custom LLMs and...
Customize AI for
Man, this stuff.
That's good stuff.
It's like...
Yeah.
It's just going to be one of those where I press play. I introduce my brother, buddy Bryant, and just let him go.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I would love to go to that. How can I do that?
Well, we'll give you the link.
In the newsletter?
Links in the newsletter. We can throw it in the show notes as well. If you go to ccim.com, click on education, search for a course, and just type in currently commercial, the next one will pop up and you can register. And you don't have to be a member.
Yeah, cool. So much easier to sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah. Do that.
Cool. Well, I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
All right, bye, Alice.
Bye.